All right, so now we move forward to another session. It's a fireside chat. We don't have the fire this time here, but it's moderated by the same mother. Hi, Anna, nice to see you again. It's moderated by the same initiator of these fireside chats, Dr. Simon Planzer. I call him Simon because I'm not from Switzerland. So, Simon, the floor is yours.
And equally, the floor is yours as well.
All right.
So, for those who have attended for a few years at the Prague conference, you're already familiar with the format of the Fireside Chat. And today, I have a particular pleasure of having a special guest, which is Zoltán Tündig himself, so the very founder of this conference series and of many others, as we will hear in our chat. And I think today's session could be summarized referring to a famous movie title as Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Hipter and Zoltán Tündig, but you didn't dare to ask. So today is the time to ask.
So just make sure that I will send you the invoice. You send me the invoice for this session.
Okay, Zoltán, let's go back to as a start by 5 years. 5 years ago, we were sitting here, 2020, and I understand you had just a few cancellations from attendees. And we were sitting here thinking, what is all this fuss about? Is the world going crazy? And indeed, about a week later, the world went down into shutdown. How do you remember this very special time before, really things changed?
The scene was there. I remember the background was there. This room was full. We had around 150 people, out of which 10 or 15 canceled because their company did not let them travel, and we said that this is kind of a bullshit because nothing's going to happen. I remember one person posting a photo with the fireside chat that you had with France.
Could have been just in France.
Yes, just in France, and said that this is how these guys react to COVID. They throw it into fire. I remember that we ordered everyone a staropramen and said that there's no corona in Prague, there's staropramen, and we had an antivirus party to end the conference, and we were already thinking that in 2 months we are meeting in Estonia, in Tallinn, for the next conference. This was on Thursday. We left Prague on Saturday, and on Sunday they shut down the country, and we were on our way home. It was very crazy. We thought that it will go away, but after 2 weeks we realized it would not go away. So we quickly started thinking about the virtual format because we were familiar with that. We did virtual conferences in 2018. We started that. We had some hybrid formats before that. Because we had the iGaming radio, so we were not scared about that part because we had the platform, we had our own platform built for that. So in just 2 weeks, we already announced the first ever virtual conference in the iGaming industry. After hosting the last conference in the iGaming industry.
The last in-person conference, indeed. I think for many people in the industry, it was the last in-person event for a year. A long time, right? Yeah. And
the Estonians were lucky because actually that conference in Estonia we have hosted as a hybrid, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, this led on to many new things happening. Yeah. So for us, that curse around the world was a blessing.
Let me pick up that thought. So what at first sight was actually a huge challenge turned out to be an opportunity for you and the conference series. So let's go through this maybe step by step. You already mentioned a couple of aspects that you introduced. I could mention, the quarterly meetings for Europe. And I think you introduced the quarterly meetings for Latin America and the US. We had virtual formats, Gaming Americas, 3-day marathon with so many attendees, hybrid conferences in Tallinn where You had some audience attending in person and then remotely as well. Technology streams, as we have today as well. So tell us more about all these formats.
Yeah, it was very refreshing actually to be back at working hard, because somehow it felt like the conferences were like going well, and it felt really crazy in 2020. 2019 actually was the hype. I remember that's when I met Bill Pascrell in Budapest, and that's when we came up with the idea to start also having panels about North America in Budapest. By the way, we had the conference there for 9 years, which we stopped doing 2 years ago. We merged it with Prague, so we could not have two conferences focusing on the same region. So that's why probably here it's and of course, sorry, friends from Hungary, but it became very expensive to be in Budapest. So yeah, this gave wave to these quarterly meetups because we hosted a 3-day marathon conference. I remember referring to Bill again, because he was one of the people that introduced us to other people, and we had 300 speakers for a virtual conference that went on for 3 days.
What brought you to make it 3 days from the outset? You know, it's much longer than any other conference.
That back then, in 2020, when this happened, SBC announced their digital summit. After that, which was something with panels and a virtual expo, which was crazy for us, because we knew that how the hell are you going to walk up to somebody's stand virtually? We knew about these platforms before that, and it's not working. So we rather focused on content, because everybody was sitting in front of their computer either way. Because I think maybe in April, May, in 2020, I think nobody was leaving their houses. Everybody was staying on their computer, either working or watching TV. So it made sense for us to have them there, record the whole sessions. Some people really stayed there for 2 days for these sessions, because we focused also on the Europe having a bigger impact. So it was crazy for us to host it, but it went throughout Zoom, and the biggest numbers we reached was 20,000 viewers on our tech conference on YouTube, which was crazy to see that many log in. Out of nowhere.
20,000 you said during which stream was that?
This was for our tech conference, which we also launched. Actually, we started launching the tech conferences in 2019, and we started with the virtual format either way on those. So it was easy for us to have connected with
Since
the
you started in 2019, you were already ready when
and
most others were not ready for this format.
That's how we came to this type of conference that we have here, because we have connected these two conferences, the Tech Conference Europe with the Gaming Summit, making it Gaming and Tech Summit, and bringing people from multiple industries like blockchain, fintech, AI, that we have seen in 2023 when we started this concept connect really well.
Amazing development. But tell us also a bit maybe about the challenges, and we could speak about the hybrid format that certainly was not always easy to implement. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, it was the first time we did it with the Estonian conference. I know you were a moderator and a speaker as well. So in Estonia, the rules weren't that strict. They allowed conferences in 2020 up to half of the capacity of the hotel. So we had 100 registrations, and 50 people could attend. The rest we gave the money back. The hotel was cool about it, because they of course did not have the cancellation policy, and they said it's okay. But it was crazy, because I don't know if you guys remember, there were some quotas back then. So if you have a certain number of infections, you cannot travel to this country or that country. And about 30% of the speakers were in that situation, finding out a week before the conference that they cannot travel. So we quickly, and even us could not travel there.
And these quotas could change
from
one week to another.
Then you leave the home and you have to stay in the airport or a hotel. And we weren't even allowed to travel there. So we have had a laptop in the conference room with a webcam and a microphone to see what's going on. We were doing this remote access. And I was on the screen greeting people Moderators, speakers were logging in from everywhere. People in the room were taking photos. It was bizarre to see like half-empty conference room and people on the screens. So yeah, after this ended, but it was very interesting to hear the breaks, because usually I don't have time to hear the breaks because I'm always around, and I was hearing people say that Zoltan is not going to host this conference anymore because they started doing the virtual ones in America, so they probably will not focus, and too bad. I could not talk to them, like I was hearing these echoes. So yeah, after that, when we came back to the in-person conferences, many have asked for the hybrid because they were still very comfortable in their pajamas at home and logging into an iGaming conference, but that's not all about that. So we had it one time, and that's it. We cut it off. Either attend our virtual events, which are totally different, or come to the in-person ones. And
we'll talk about coming back to the in-person conference in a moment. Let me stay with the virtual ones still. You also introduced the quarterlies, quarterly in Europe, quarterly on in America as well. So tell us more about it. What was the idea to do it, and how has it developed?
Yeah, so after this 3 days marathon of conference, we found that, of course, it's not going to be sustainable because people will not come for the second time for that type of event. Even though we had another one that lasted 2 days, we had live interpretations because we were covering Latin America. We had live translation into Portuguese, Spanish, and the other way around, because some of the regulators did not speak English, so we needed to switch. That was very hard to do. Thanks to our friends at All In Global, Tiago is doing a presentation in the other room, we managed to secure the best interpreters. So then we thought that, okay, we cannot do this like long conferences, but we saw the drops in the streams that are coming after 1.5, 2 hours. So we thought that why not create a quarterly meetup series for Europe and a separate one for North and Latin America that has 2 panels, and that's it. People log in, look at those sessions, and they log out, they do their thing. Otherwise, you could not stay for 8 hours for a conference. And it was.
And interestingly, you have kept this format even after the end of
we kept
pandemic.
Yes. Actually, we somehow transformed it starting this year. Again, I'm referring to Bill Pasquarelli, he's in the room. They have a great series every 3 months. 3 of them, him, Martin Lichka, and who's the Jeremy Kleiman. They log in and they do 1 hour of roundup of everything that's happening in the US. It's very well watched. Around 2,000 people, 3,000 people log in every time to see it. And since 2025, we do this on a monthly base with it's not meetups, it's called iGaming Exchange. So every month we can focus on different things that are happening, so no longer you have to wait 3 months to get updated. Even have people, if they have some suggestion, they tell us, okay, we want to host a session. They send it our way, and in 2 weeks it's up. So it's going well. We already have 3 episodes of this. Of course, we have 2 podcasts as well that are going simultaneous. One of them is in the 4th season. And now it's around 2,000 listeners per episode. So it complements this digital thing because let's be honest, some still prefer the digital thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that is going to stop. It's going to evolve, especially seeing that some are even having kept these breakout sessions via Zoom, which is very bizarre, but they still do it.
Wonderful. This actually underlines what you said before, that you didn't pursue the hybrid format for good reasons. It's because online has its advantages that the in-person can't do, and in-person has its advantages that the online can't do. So I wonder, through the pandemic and afterwards, we're talking about more or less 5 years now, how has the community evolved? How has the database evolved of
it grew with in 2020 it grew with 700%, and actually we were making a lot of money. We were making more money than we do now with the conferences because we did not have the expenses of coming and hosting everything, but it did not feel good. we were making money out of advertising, but people were not actually connecting, and we miss this. We miss this partying and everything, and we miss seeing people, like shaking hands. You cannot do that virtually.
So yeah, the provocative question is, since you made so good money online,
it's not that
why stopping doing this exclusively and coming back to in person? Where do you see the main assets?
The people. We like seeing people connect in person, hugging each other. You don't have that virtually. You see here people every time when there's welcome drinks or everything, they hug each other. They say goodbye to each other when they go away. They keep in touch. Some of them actually have spent time on holidays. And it's nice to hear such stories, not at our conferences. He's Ron Segev here. I don't know if I can disclose. He met his wife at the conference. And sorry, Alon. Yeah, that's a funny story because I was working with his twin brother for 2 years, and then I saw him on stage, and he was, hey, you tagged the wrong guy. Hey, that's Alon. That's his twin. Yeah, he actually met his wife at the conference. So that would not be possible during a virtual conference. And see, this is why.
It's possible to meet, but the follow-up has been more complicated.
Yeah, the follow-up is more complicated. See?
Oh.
So that's why you don't need hybrid format, and it's not about the money. It's never about the money. The story in the other room was about keeping up with the iGaming spirit, and this community that in past 25 years it grew from a couple of hundred people to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And I don't know if many people. I know that some of them are here from maybe 30 years. Plus 20 years in the industry, but some of the people are new, and they don't know this, that at a certain point in this industry, it's not about the money. It's about being in the industry, and it's like, if you can call it, it's like the mafia. You cannot leave because you don't want to leave because the people are so awesome, and you lose. Actually, I saw it in my life. I lost friends because you cannot speak to them anymore. Because they don't understand what you're doing, or they are keeping away from the iGaming industry. And when you tell them about the parties and the people you're meeting, they're like somehow jealous because their life is so boring. and you at a certain point you find yourself that you cannot talk to anyone. And actually I saw at many of the parties some people actually have tears in their eyes because they can't talk to somebody from the industry that understands them. Because they go out with friends and talk, oh, did you hear that Playtech or sports? Who the hell are they?
Exactly, they wouldn't know. They cannot relate. Let us approach something obvious as well, the name Hipter. Where does it come from? What does it stand for?
Yeah, so the history is that we launched in 2015 as Eastern European Gaming. We had a magazine, Eastern European Gaming Report. Then in 2018, when we started doing the conference in 2016, people were like, okay, guys, you just focus on Eastern Europe. No, we said we focus on everything. And that's why we came up with European Gaming. Then we rebranded it to European Gaming, and of course we got a bigger crowd. But we launched the tech part with Picante. It's a different website for news where we cover non-gaming activities. Also some government official press releases. And we were hosting the Picante series simultaneously with the gaming industry. But people were like, hey, you guys are from European Gaming, not Picante, it's the same thing. So we needed an umbrella brand, and this hipster thing just came in mind. Many people have asked us what it means. It's, the funny meaning of it is like Mike Tyson saying hipster, like hipster. But during the rebranding, which also came during the pandemic, because it gave a way for us to rebrand, and people forget about European gaming, and then just now everybody just knows. Probably most people here don't know about European gaming or Eastern European gaming. They know about Hipter. So that's good. And we had the idea to build this community around people like open-minded people. That's why we have the hashtag Hipters. That's actually a memo and an initiative we launched for people who are interested in all new things, early adopters, but are also rooted to tradition. Like unique people like the ones that are here, So they are all hipsters. So this is our manifesto, if you can call it that, and we are sticking to it.
Wonderful. Let's go back to the very early days of the first conference. You did mention that Budapest was the first one. And I do believe you had made a few experiences before Budapest that could be summarized as how not to do it. Can you tell us more about how not to do it and what you observed and what you want to do differently?
I'm glad that Michael Caselli is sitting in the other room because it's about Clarion. But first I was, when we launched Eastern European Gaming, I was invited to moderate in Sofia at Eastern European Gaming Summit. I know many of you know that conference. It's a really good one. It was very well organized. I remember meeting legends like Helmut Kafka and yeah, I get an email during the conference from Clarion that they want me to moderate in Bucharest 2 weeks from then a session with the Latvian regulator and the former Australian regulator. I said, okay, I have experience. I moderated one panel. I'm coming. So, okay, I get to Bucharest at the conference, and up until that time, I never received an introduction with my panelists. So I didn't know who they are, and they didn't know who I am. So somehow, from the 50 people they had there, I met them, and these guys were like shaking. The Latvian regulator was like, oh, and he never spoken in public before. He was invited there, and I said, okay, I'm an expert. I moderated one panel. You're good with me. We talked the bullet points quickly, and we had a great session. And after that, it came to me that, excuse my language, guys, but fuck. These guys are asking 800 euros for somebody to go to their conference, and their speakers and moderators don't know each other. So what the experience will be during a panel? Because it's let's say, guys, you are here for the panels. You watch the panels. But this requires preparation. It's not a secret. The moderator contacts the panelist 2-3 weeks before the conference, and they set up everything, the bullet points, so it has a smooth flow. Otherwise, they come here, okay, hi, I'm the moderator. And yeah, we needed to change that. So we said that let's do our first conference in Budapest. It was amazing that quickly we got a reaction from the industry. And there's a funny story there, but at 11 o'clock, the alarm sounded at Hilton, and there was a bomb threat in the conference, our first conference. I know Gabor was there. They have evacuated the whole hotel to the street, and we stayed there for 4 hours outside, but it was the best networking session ever because Icebreaker was there. Everybody was asking each other, hey, did you know what's happening? Some of the participants actually had their prospects pay for their lunch because they forgot their purse and money in the room because we had to evacuate so quickly. So that was very scary. Once we got back to the hotel after 4 hours, of course, the Hungarian National Security called me from an anonymous number, invited me in, asked if we were under threat. I did not know. But eventually it turned out to be something that was going on for a week or so in the media. But yeah, that was the story behind the first conference, that we wanted to change this aspect of having the moderators and speakers who are the essential part of the conference have a good time. Because if they don't have a good time, the audience will not have.
And indeed, as you mentioned correctly, things need to be prepared so that it actually flows well and there is value for all attendees. So you did mention the perfect icebreaker at that hotel, but then you moved to the Ritz, right?
Yes.
Quite prestigious location. That worked for, I think, quite many years, but now you've decided to stop Budapest. What are the main reasons?
So actually, after Hilton, we moved to Kempinski first, and then moved to the Ritz. Ritz was a good selling point for Budapest. It's a very nice location, but it's very limited to 100 people. And of course, since we were hosting Prague since 2017, so basically a year after Budapest, we had 2 conferences already happening. We thought after 9 years that it's not worth for us to have 2 conferences focusing on the same region, because both Budapest and both Prague were focusing on the same area, Balkans. So we decided to ditch Budapest. It breaks our heart because that was our first conference there. And we did it in style, actually. We rented out limousines. We had a boat trip on the Danube. So we closed it, and that's it. And yeah, moving on with Prague, and we also have our series in the Baltics, which is also going for 8 years now. We had an experiment in Vienna in 2017 when we had an expo, and that turned out bad. We were giving away free tickets. 700 people registered, out of which maybe 200 came. We sold big booths, and imagine a huge hall, an expo hall, and there were 6 exhibitors, all empty. You can play football in there. So we said, no, we don't do that. We stick to this this format, the boutique style format. And we try to keep it like this, even though that this year it outgrew itself up to 300 people. This is the maximum we can do. Even though space is the maximum we can do, but if we go higher, we will lose the essence. We will lose out on the networking. And because last year when we were at the jazz club, where we're going, by the way, on Wednesday again, at 11 o'clock, some people told us, hey, let's do karaoke. And it was much easier to move 60, 70 people to go to karaoke than 400 people.
Okay, so Prague seems pretty stable as a location.
It is, yes.
I understand. I'm just looking around whether we have any questions in the spirit of everything you always wanted to know, but never dared to ask. We've heard a lot about Hipster now and the different conference formats. Now it gets personal. Want to hear something about you. I've been digging a bit what I could find, and one fun fact I found was, so being surrounded here with a lot of lawyers, in-house counsels, in-house lawyers, compliance people, and so on, you have actually studied law.
Yes, I did. Out of the 4 universities I applied to and finished 1 year in each of them, because...
That was Babes, no?
Yes. I only put up the law thing for 1.5 years. I studied law, but it wasn't for me. I told Simon about this. I don't know how it goes around the world, but in Romania, the university is very stuck in the dictating stuff that you cannot interpret the way you want. Be creative. You have to interpret the way the teacher says that you have to do it. And this was the rule breaker for me, because I don't like people telling me what to do. I started 4 universities and did not finish either of those. I was just curious.
But it wasn't 4 times law?
No, it was one time it was accounting, it was marketing, it was law, and there was also finance. But out of curiosity, I stayed for 1 year, and it's not for me.
So you're an all-rounder. You've tried a bit of everything.
Yes. Yeah, and it made, for me, after, this was 2018, we were already working with the biggest names in the iGaming industry, the biggest lawyers. And I was like, why the hell am I going to school? Because I have access to all these because I don't want to be a lawyer. I just want to know what's going on. And since I have access to all these great minds and brains, I can do interviews, I can do podcasts. Why the hell should I go to a communist? Sorry about that, Dan, because you're also from Romania. Why should I go to a communist university?
He's from Romania, but doesn't necessarily make him a communist.
Yes. No, I know. I know, but that's the truth.
Very good. I'm actually, I was a bit shocked when you mentioned that, how the curriculum was at this university.
This is a very famous law university in Romania, either way.
But it is, of course, a bit shocking because it goes against the very, in my view, the very discipline. Law is about interpretation. Law is about interpreting the law. It's extremely rare that you would have a situation where it just can read the answer in a statutory law. Usually that's exactly not the case. It's more complex, and then actually you would...
That's how they fooled me.
Yeah, and then some legal interpretation is heavily needed. So that was one thing we have found, and then I found another thing about you, which goes well with your established healthy lifestyle. You're an avid runner and cyclist, so you do duathlon. How did you come up with this?
I got into running at 35, and up until then I was considering everyone who is running crazy. And I liked it, and I started doing training on my own, and after 2 years I signed up to the European Championship duathlon, which was hosted in our hometown.
Only after 2 years?
Only after 2 years, and I started cycling 3 months before that competition. So, yeah, it was great. It was maybe, I participated in the European Championship. Then I signed up to a World Championship, which was hosted on the second year in our hometown, which was, like, imagine this is like where people from all around the world, 2,000 athletes, elite athletes, participate, and it took place in a small town in Transylvania because of the good management that the Triathlon Association had in there. So, yeah, after that, I started doing marathons out of fun, and cycling just came eventually. So I said, why not compete in this awesome competition I found in Zofingen in Switzerland that's going on for 30 years now. It has a tradition there. Some people have been there for 20 times. And these are people like at 70. And this is not like a road trip. This is 10 kilometers running, 150 kilometers cycling, and 30 kilometers running again. So it's like an Ironman without the swimming. And these people come from all around the world to suffer for a whole day. But yeah, this thing
And you even pay for it, right?
Yeah, you have to pay for it. Of course, it costs 499 euros to sign up. Plus, you have to travel there, not to mention the prices of the bikes. Because, guys, you will not be buying tickets for our conferences if I told you how expensive my 2 bikes are. There are 2 bikes cost 25,000 euros. And it's a bike, basically. It also shaped me in terms of the conferences because there were times, and I heard this from more than 3 organizers out there, one of them Alex Pratt from Clarion now, that sometimes you go to the toilet and cry during a conference as an organizer because things are just like moving so fast, you're never prepared. Sometimes people ask me during the welcome, everything's ready. No, never. Anything can go wrong at any time. Now, yeah, there's 2 minutes till lunch break, and we still have 3 questions left. So this is something that pisses me off. So these things happen, and with all this endurance training, you actually learn how to suffer. That's about long endurance sports, that you're never going to have this like, okay, I'm running for 10 years now, but you're still going to suffer. Just your mind gets used to that suffering, and that's what this conference is also, hosting conference is all about. You have this endurance of especially staying out till night at 3 o'clock because you need to pay the bill when people leave. Because, yeah, that's what we do.
So you learn to cope with it. And I trust that this audience is not suffering as much as you are in a duathlon.
No, I don't think so.
But you did mention...
Yeah, but I'm doing Ironman next year as well.
Wow, that's another big one then. So maybe this is a nice link. You mentioned the conferences and the challenges. So this wouldn't be possible without... a great team, and I want to mention one person in particular. So you share your passion for duathlon with another person who also likes to practice a healthy lifestyle and who happens to be also your partner. So Betty, the co-founder of Hipter and stellar organizer, a bit more in the background than you are. How do you complement each other? What are you not good at that she is good at?
We have the same coach, so I should be better. So we're not competing on anything. That's the ground rule. Because if you're starting to compete, we've seen this in couples that share the same business, and it's not going to get you anywhere. Duathlon is something that, she started doing after I started doing duathlon. She's also taking part in the Zofingen competition, but in a shorter distance this year, and she's training for another year that wants to take part in the longer one. But yeah, this also requires licensing and stuff like that. It's pretty, but yeah, we share everything.
And is it as hard as a duathlon sometimes?
Yes, of course it is. There's no secret there, and I think everybody knows that.
But then you have 2 nice dogs that can...
And 4 cats.
And 4 cats on top of it. So I'm just looking around again whether there are any questions before we are slowly wrapping up. And if there are not, then I have one more question as an outlook, kind of an epilogue of our session. You've started in Budapest, came Prague, and so on. When you look now ahead, including a couple of years, are there further projects that you maybe can share with us?
Yes, definitely. One of these projects is having our first event in the United States. We've been brainstorming for next year, but it's not 100% it will happen. It's not announced yet, but once it will be announced in style. Of course, keeping the same format of boutique conferences. We don't want to have a large conference. We cannot handle that, and we don't like that. So yeah, that is one of the projects we want to do. And of course, we want to take as much advantage as possible from the virtual ones, because we've seen that grow, and there's a lot of demand for such content, because most of the content found online is either AI generated poorly, because everybody generates it with AI, it's not a secret. But sometimes it's poorly generated, and you can browse throughout LinkedIn and see this type of posts. So this is one of the projects. Other projects we cannot disclose yet, but Prague is going to be here for another 100 years. That's it about.
Wonderful. So I guess we can summarize your journey from Budapest to, in the future, the US. Go west. All the way west, and
but keeping one of our feet here in
Europe.
But
keeping the roots here. Thank you very much. Join me in thanking Zoltan.
Thank you, guys. By the way, this has been very hard, I tell you.